Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Swallowed Star 2 Land of Origin Part 70 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. In the outer layer of the dream realm, one of the spaces was enveloped by howling winds, with countless mountains and rocks standing tall. One large rock, subjected to the wind's erosion for a long stretch of time, suddenly. The large rock moved, naturally transforming into a figure with black scales and golden horns, which was none other than one of Luo Feng's three main avatars that occupied the outer layer of the dream realm. While the perfect divine body completely immersed itself in comprehending the great Tao of destruction origin, Luo Feng's other avatars were almost in a state of slumber. The cultivation with the five-colored treasure medicine is over. It's time to properly cultivate the spiritual will. Luo Feng's one avatar quietly left and swiftly proceeded on its journey. While dividing other avatars for reconnaissance, Luo Feng quickly arrived at the deep layers of the dream realm. The deep layers of the dream realm. Luo Feng could see a space ahead, even more dim and with faint thunder flashing. Whoosh! Luo Feng carefully flew into it. Indeed, it's the deep layers of the dream realm. Luo Feng felt a terrifying pressure acting upon his spirit, with layers upon layers of heart pressure enveloping him, seemingly endless, exhausting Luo Feng considerably. The ancient beings from the land of origin form teams, yet they seldom venture into the deep layers of the dream realm. Luo Feng was well aware of this. Only wills at the God King ultimate realm could maintain lucidity here, and most of the ancient beings also cultivated the primordial bloodline, needing to divert their attention to suppress the residual will within their bloodlines. So, to form a team where every member could traverse the deep layers of the dream realm? That was exceedingly difficult. For an individual to sneak into the deep layers of the dream realm, dealing with more powerful dream realm creatures becomes very difficult. One of Luo Feng's avatars encountered three flame exotic beasts, each with a black body. Merely judging by their aura, each could rival the stone monster leader. One of the flame exotic beasts noticed Luo Feng and immediately whooshed into a clump of black flames, enveloping him. Escape! Luo Feng's one avatar immediately divided again into 10 smaller ones, scattering and fleeing. Phut! Soon, one of the avatars was trapped by the black flames, burned for a moment, and eventually was extinguished. The deep layers of the dream realm, the influence on the spiritual will is even greater, and the dream realm creatures are even more terrifying. But the treasures here are even more precious. Only, there are very few who have the capability to come here and harvest these treasures, Luo Feng thought to himself. Even emperors and monarchs, for the most part, needed to divert their attention to suppress the will of the bloodline, and not many were qualified to come here. Too dangerous. Luo Feng divided many avatars and briefly explored a portion of this deep dream realm space. With my current strength, I can't even grab a single treasure. In the middle layers of the dream realm, Luo Feng could still harvest treasures from a limited number of regions based on his abilities. The deep layers of the dream realm? A few random creatures could rival the teams from the reincarnation tower. Even some terrifying dream realm species, any true body of an emperor or monarch daring to enter might not be able to escape. These dream realm creatures all contain a trace of will but possess no soul. Luo Feng was also curious. Without souls, most dream realm creatures remained within their territories. Only a few would leave their domain due to special reasons, yet they could never leave this dream realm space. Over time, the dream realm space would change, dream realm creatures would perish, and new terrifying dream realm creatures would emerge. Dream realm, is it truly just a dream? Luo Feng pondered. Some powerhouses in the land of origin believed that the dream realm was merely a dream. A dream created by Yuan. Yet others objected. After all, they could enter with their true body and the wonders of heaven and earth they harvested could be used normally in the outside world. It was hard to explain with just a dream. This also made many powerhouses further revere Yuan. Let's do it here. After exploring the surrounding area, Luo Feng chose a secluded spot on the mountainside of a desolate mountain, sat down cross-legged, and naturally turned into an inert stone. Luo Feng then started to cultivate the Great Destruction Heart Refining Technique. In the deep layer of the dream realm, since Luo Feng was not seizing any treasures and not provoking any dream realm creatures, merely cultivating here was quite safe. Rumble tilde tilde tilde, the pressure of the dream realm on the spiritual will was relentless and endless, and under this terrifying pressure, Luo Feng continued to sustain the great destruction heart-refining technique, causing an immediate surge in the pressure on his spiritual will. Hiss. Taking the five-colored treasure medicine, and the enhancement in comprehending the great Tao of destruction origin, made the great destruction heart-refining technique also evolve, increasing its might substantially. HMPH. In an instant, Luo Feng felt extreme pain, extreme torment. Increased potency of the great destruction heart-refining technique, harsher conditions in the deep layers of the dream realm, dual refinement, truly uncomfortable, Luo Feng found every moment excruciating as his spiritual will seemed to be crushed to pieces and then congealed again. The great destruction heart-refining technique, indeed painful. Like the 7 emotions of heart-refining technique, which refines the heart with emotions, and is a relatively pleasant experience during cultivation. But the 7 emotions of heart-refining technique cannot be sustained for long. The great destruction heart-refining technique shows ordinary results in a short time but has the advantage of being sustainable over the long haul. To have obtained the Lai Yuan technique and to learn the great destruction heart-refining technique within it, I'm already fortunate. Luo Feng endured silently, and in the process of tempering, gradually discovered the many unstable thoughts of his spirit, relentlessly eroded time and again. In this ongoing process of destruction refinement, the erosion by the deep spatial layers of the dream realm also continued ceaselessly, and unbeknownst to him, the influence of the dream realm's erosion grew deeper. About half an era into Luo Feng's cultivation in the deep layer of the dream realm, his increasingly tired spirit was completely eroded by the dream realm. In an instant, Luo Feng fell into a deep sleep. At that moment, all his avatars in the outside world, including those in infinite space, also fell into slumber. Woo, woo, woo tilde tilde tilde. The piece of inert stone in the deep dream realm space became a complete stone. Luo Feng forgot who he was, as if he had turned into a massive creature flying through the air. What a mighty primordial life, accompanied by hearty laughter. A towering hand had already grabbed him. Luo Feng felt a fear emanating from the depths of his soul. He had no desire to resist, there was only fear and thoughts of escape. I must escape. Flee for my life. Ancestor, save me. A jumble of disordered thoughts. It seemed like Luo Feng had escaped the giant hand, but soon he was enveloped by a formation, and he escaped again. Another figure was in pursuit. This dream was twisted, as if he was constantly running, fleeing in terror. While asleep, Luo Feng lost control of himself and naturally stopped the great destruction heart-refining technique. His spiritual will had long reached the bottleneck limit of the godly king tier. Just under the mere deep layers of the dream domain, Luo Feng gradually began to awaken from the terrified flight in his dream. Am I dreaming? Luo Feng was astonished. Dreaming was such a distant concept for him. With his spiritual state, he should have perfectly mastered control over himself and not dream at all. I'm Luo Feng. I'm cultivating in the deep layers of the dream domain. Once Luo Feng became aware of his existence within the dream, he felt the dream start to shake and become unstable. This dream is interesting, stabilize it. Luo Feng tried to harmonize more with the dream. Because at this moment, the massive creature he had become was too vast, even more magnificent than the complete life origin great Tao he had observed before, and it even carried a hint of the supreme rules. And the figures that seemed to chase after him from behind appeared even more terrifying than the entire source world. What is this? Luo Feng wanted to maintain the dream, but he eventually woke up. The longer he was awake, the more fragmented the dream became. Bang! Finally, the dream completely dissipated. In that space deep within the dream domain, on a barren mountain's mid-slope, a stubborn rock opened its eyes. I fell into a slumber, that dream just now. But Luo Feng found his memory of the dream to be very vague, only remembering that he had turned into a massive creature, only remembering that what chased him was terrifying. The appearance of the pursuer, Luo Feng could no longer recall. The methods they used, he also could not remember. How could I have such a dream? Luo Feng was somewhat puzzled. When other strong beings enter the dream domain, if they fall into slumber, it's very difficult for them to awaken. Either they rely on other strong beings to bring their true body out, or they have a lucky breakthrough in their spirit in a dream, but the odds of that are negligible. Luo Feng had consciously entered into spiritual cultivation here, which is what led to his slumber. But once asleep, he naturally stopped the great destruction heart-refining technique. Given the real strength of his spiritual will, it was easy for him to regain consciousness. Cultivating for half an era, indeed, I'm somewhat fatigued. Time to rest for a while. Luo Feng immediately left the deep layers of the dream domain silently and returned to the outer layers. Within the primordial cosmos, that mysterious land, Luo Feng's divine power incarnation was observing the complete life origin great Tao before him. I didn't expect that in just 3 eras, with the help of the 5-colored treasure medicine, the accumulation of the great Tao of destruction origin would be comparable to the great Tao of life origin, Luo Feng thought. But once I use up the treasure medicine, the speed of cultivation will become very slow again. The path of life has the advantage of facing the great Tao directly, always ensuring a higher efficiency in cultivation. There are only 2 doses of the 5-colored treasure medicine, and the boundary beast blood talisman is even more precious. Even with the status of my master, I can only exchange for 1, Luo Feng mused inwardly. The use of the boundary beast blood talisman must be even more prudent. Master Emperor Chu cultivated the great Tao of destruction origin, which is why he could exchange for 1. It is possible that other emperors couldn't even make the exchange. As for Kuching God King, they didn't have the qualifications to see it. Whether it's the 5-colored treasure medicine or the boundary beast blood talisman, they must be used at critical moments. Understanding the great Tao, many of the superficial aspects are relatively easy to understand. Without using treasures, one could comprehend them over time. The real key things, the extremely difficult ones, might make one stuck for a long time. At such times, using a treasure is highly efficient. I'll take the 5-colored treasure medicine again in 30 eras, Luo Feng decided. The 5-colored treasure medicine is slightly less precious, after all, even a Kuching God King can exchange for it. With some extra effort, he should still be able to obtain a few more doses. But the boundary beast blood talisman, Luo Feng wanted to save it for use during the second realm of Godly King stage to better charge towards the ultimate realm. Life and destruction, indeed, quite distinct. Luo Feng faced the great Tao of life and began to immerse himself in cultivation. Cultivation, after all, also requires a change of mind. If one hits a bottleneck in understanding destruction, try understanding life, then attempt life and destruction fusion, and then go back to comprehending destruction, the bottleneck might just loosen. Cultivation is about daily accumulation. In this way of cultivation, Luo Feng soon received a second invitation to action from Emperor Guishu. The most active members in the Reincarnation Tower now are Emperor Guishu, Wuxin God King, Luo Feng, and Cloud Sky God King. Since Cloud Sky God King only had 1 true body and was the weakest, he dared not venture into overly dangerous areas. Over the long years that followed, Guishu, Wuxin, and Luo Feng took action time and again. Cloud Sky God King would join them only when he was confident enough, whereas King Qiandu, Great Freedom Sovereign, and Black Fire Demon Lord only joined them occasionally. As for the strongest in the Reincarnation Tower, Wind City Empress and Earth God King, it was a rare occasion when they assembled a team. In these repeated actions, Luo Feng and the members of the Reincarnation Tower became increasingly acquainted. Huyang City, the headquarters of Blade River Sect. Brother Xin Yu. Brother Xin Yu. The disciples of Blade River Sect, upon seeing a young man in blue clothes, immediately called out respectfully. The young man carried a blade on his back, with a wind chime hanging on the handle, which made sounds when the wind blew. Since the establishment of Blade River Sect, the founder Luo He God King had only taken 1 direct disciple, this Brother Xin Yu. Brother Xin Yu also became one of the 2 major direct disciples under Luo He God King. Moreover, in terms of prestige, Brother Xin Yu far exceeded the other, Master Mu Qingyang. After all, in terms of talent, Brother Xin Yu was much more dazzling. Elder Luo Sa. Xin Yu spotted a powerful presence immediately and respectfully greeted him. The Blade River Sect was managed by 2 elders, the original elder and Elder Luo Sa. Xin Yu, how was your journey out? Morosa looked at this young junior with mixed emotions. I have accumulated enough and have returned to prepare for the breakthrough to the primal chaos realm, Shinyu respectfully said. Morosa nodded slightly, joyful. With your accumulation, it is indeed about time. Hurry and break through. Once you do, you will be the first disciple from the Blade River sect to reach the primal chaos realm. Yes. Shinyu bowed respectfully and then left. Morosa watched Shinyu's retreating figure. The gap is too big, Morosa murmured to himself. My poor Qingyang, simply no match. This was one of the most dazzling and talented individuals from numerous elites in the hundreds of surrounding primal chaos prefectures. Even Luo Feng was quite satisfied, specially selecting him as a second disciple. In terms of talent, he was much stronger than the original divine monarch Shui Yun. Qingyang also tries hard, and I've tried my best to help him, but even with a bloodline path, he is still far from making a breakthrough. Morosa shook his head. Yet this Xinyu, born in a weak tribe, managed to cultivate into one of the unlimited godly bodies. Following the path of laws, his accumulation is now immensely profound, and he has comprehended many moves of the primal chaos realm. No matter how one compared, the gap was too large. Yet Morosa favored Qingyang, as he had raised him from a true god step by step. Back then, by the master's side, there was only one servant, one disciple. Am I not good at cultivation myself, or is it my teaching that fails? Morosa muttered to himself, well, if I really can't cultivate Qingyang, then I can only rely on myself. The stronger I become, the more secure Qingyang's position will be. If I can reach the ultimate realm, I won't need to hide anymore. Qingyang, being a direct disciple of an ultimate realm beast, I believe he would also be quite formidable, Morosa thought delightedly. After all, Moyu Qingyang had two masters, the great master Luo He and the second master himself, Luo Sa. But to reach the ultimate realm, constantly absorbing the power of heaven and earth, how long would that take? Morosa thought for a moment, then immediately went to the city owner's mansion to find his master. In a pavilion of the city owner's mansion, Luo Feng sat high in a black robe. Master, Morosa hurried over. Rushing over from the Blade River sect in such a hurry, is there something urgent? Luo Feng smiled at him. Master, the little fellow Xinyu returned from his journey and said he's going to seclude himself for the breakthrough to the primal chaos realm, Morosa said. He indeed has the potential of a godly king. Reaching the primal chaos realm is a minor matter, Luo Feng said. Even in the internal rankings of Blade River sect, despite outstanding performances, most would at most become registered disciples of Luo Feng. Among the various registered disciples, Luo Feng chose Xinyu as his direct disciple. Born humble, with an unlimited godly body, exceptional comprehension, and strong spiritual will, in all aspects, one could say he was a diluted version of himself. In terms of godly body and spiritual will, to compare at the same level with himself was a bit unfair to the disciple, but Xinyu's conditions already showed the potential of a godly king. The little guy is about to break through, yet I have always been unable to. Morosa looked at Luo Feng and transmitted his thoughts. Master, the Blade River sect has been established for over a century now, and my progress has been minimal. Absorbing the power of heaven and earth at such a slow rate, when will I reach the second realm? When will I reach the ultimate realm? Luo Feng smiled at Morosa, understanding what he meant. Morosa also wanted some resources. Don't be in a hurry, Luo Feng said. I'm not in a hurry, but only when I'm strong can I better help you, Master, Morosa transmitted. There will be good news soon, Luo Feng said. Morosa's eyes lit up immediately. Master, you mean? Just what you think, Luo Feng waved his hand. All right. You also hurry off to cultivate. In terms of cultivation, you need to put more effort into it yourself. Understood, Morosa responded verbally, then immediately retreated. Cultivation? He had tried cultivating himself but only felt utterly confused. It was most comfortable to just lie flat and grow naturally. I have done everything I could with the 24 forms biological materials parts of the corpses. Luo Feng was somewhat exhausted. Now it all depends on Brother Blackfire. Since the time, over a century ago, he met his master Emperor Chu, Luo Feng had been wanting parts of the 24 forms biological materials. He'd been pushing this matter forward, but at the flame-wind ancient countryside, cultivating primordial bloodline creatures was inherently weak. The more elite the primordial bloodline creatures, the stricter the guarding, and even his master Emperor Chu couldn't get the materials as everything had to follow the ancient country's rules. Luo Feng suddenly received a message from the Black Fire Demon Lord. Black Fire Demon Lord rallied a large number of godly kings with enmities against Thunder Ancient Country to form a significant power. If the Mother River Master that leads the Life Mother River is a force resisting Flame Wind Ancient Country, then the Black Fire Demon Lord leading the Black Fire Gate is a force resisting Thunder Ancient Country. Although not as prominent as the Life Mother River, the Black Fire Gate is still formidable. Black Fire Demon Lord could even bring out the Earth God King in critical moments to come to his aid. Inside the Reincarnation Tower, Black Fire Demon Lord met Luo Feng. Luo He, the Black Fire Demon Lord, was quite handsome with flame-like secret patterns on his face, leading an influential force against Thunder Ancient Country. Despite opposing such a powerful entity, he cordially befriended various dispersed godly kings, earning a remarkably good reputation. Luo Feng had once discussed 24 forms biological materials in the Reincarnation Tower, asking if other members could provide any help, and the Black Fire Demon Lord offered to give it a try. "Brother Black Fire, do you have news for me?" Luo Feng asked in surprise. "Haha, I've always said that when it comes to familiarity with the royal family godly king of Thunder Ancient Country, I am second to none on the land of origin," the Black Fire Demon Lord said with a smile. He was an early guest elder godly king of the Thunder Ancient Country and was already in the second realm of godly king at that time. Ambitious, he aimed to become a monarch. In terms of merit points, he had accrued countless merit points for Thunder Ancient Country, far surpassing those of the royal family godly kings. Yet, merely because he was a guest elder godly king, he could never access the resources to become a monarch. After long suffering, he finally resolved to steal a portion of primordial bloodline to become a monarch, but ultimately failed and could only flee Thunder Ancient Country. But the Black Fire Demon Lord had strong social skills. Many godly kings within Thunder Ancient Country were his close friends, as were many enact godly kings. This was one of the reasons his Black Fire Gate continued to exist until now. Despite Thunder Ancient Country consistently putting a bounty on his head, many godly kings cultivating primordial bloodline remained unconcerned and frequently associated with the Black Fire Demon Lord. "Your matter is settled," Black Fire Demon Lord said with a smile. Luo Feng's eyes brightened. "At 24 forms primordial bloodline creature, approximately 1/10 of the corpse," said the Black Fire Demon Lord. "It has been quietly moved out. You can exchange it for treasures worth 3 billion merit points, which is within your budget, right?" "Brother Black Fire, thank you so much," Luo Feng said excitedly. "It was extremely difficult. Flame Wind Ancient Country required 10 billion merit points, not a bit less." In Thunder Ancient Country, Luo Feng had tried visiting some guest elder godly kings and royal family godly kings, all of whom asked for a significantly higher price. He also visited Jiaoyin Godly King, who could provide complete primordial bloodline for 6,500 million merit points worth of treasures, but the price was the same even for only the materials. As for obtaining a smaller amount of materials, Thunder Ancient Country had strict controls. Such high-level primordial bloodline materials were directly managed by the monarch's avatars. Over more than a century, Luo Feng had participated in every operation in the Reincarnation Tower. But considering even the crazed nature of Emperor Guishu and others, operations only occurred once every dozen or so years, amassing a total of 5 billion merit points worth of treasures for Luo Feng. And the Boundary Beast Blood Talisman had consumed another billion merit points. Luo Feng had about 4 billion merit points available. Luo Feng had even prepared to wait until he had gathered more merit points before making any plans. "Let me be clear beforehand, it's only 1/10 of the corpse, and you can't extract a complete primordial bloodline from it," Black Fire Demon Lord said. "But you were already willing to accept just a part. A complete corpse could typically yield 3 to 5 complete primordial bloodlines." "No problem," responded Luo Feng. "How this 1/10 of the body came about, you don't need to ask. Right now, I'll deliver this body to your Huyang city and we can exchange there," Black Fire Demon Lord said. "All right," Luo Feng said gratefully. In the city owner's mansion of Huyang City, Luo Feng waited eagerly. Whoosh! A figure descended from the void, suddenly appearing nearby. It was Black Fire Demon Lord. His handsome face had a charm akin to that of a true sector beast. Brother Black Fire, Luo Feng was very grateful, having planned for this material for too long. Take a careful look at the 1/10 of the body, Black Fire Demon Lord said, setting a cloth bag on the table, as Luo Feng also placed a jade vial on the table. Luo Feng inspected the cloth bag. The bag concealed a space inside, containing a huge tail billions of miles long, likely the remaining tip of a complete tail. There was also a massive, mountain-like half a hoof with scales, the flesh emitting a thick and potent aroma, and imbued with terrifying spiritual will. It also contained a massive disarray of scales, muscles, bones, and blood. Luo Feng estimated this was 1/10 of a body remaining after extracting the primordial bloodline. 3 billion merit points. Black Fire Demon Lord, holding the jade vial, couldn't help but look at Luo Feng. Luo my brother, you've given too much. I'm buying Brother Black Fire some drinks, Luo Feng said with a smile. Black Fire Demon Lord was always reluctant to ask for any benefits, but the effort he put into securing the 1/10 of the body from the strictly managed Thunder Ancient Country over 30 years must have not been easy. Giving an extra 20 or 30 million merit points was really nothing. All right then, Black Fire Demon Lord chuckled. He was willing to help Luo Feng and didn't care about these resources. Black Fire Demon Lord put away the jade vial and once again instructed, Brother Luo you also should know that extracting part of the body of a primordial bloodline creature is against the rules. This matter must be kept secret. And do not let any of this material get out. Rest assured, it will not be disclosed, Luo Feng replied. Black Fire Demon Lord nodded and then disappeared. Holding the cloth bag in his hand, Luo Feng didn't need Black Fire Demon Lord's reminder to comprehend the difficulty of obtaining this 1/10 of a body. After all, he had spent over a century pushing this project in both Flame Wind Ancient Country and Thunder Ancient Country, and although he failed, he understood many of the intricacies involved. Creatures of this level of primordial bloodline were guarded by entities at the Monarch and Emperor levels. The highest ultimate realm strength primordial bloodline creatures were reportedly either avatars or incarnations of the two primogenitors garrisoning them. There was fear that these primordial bloodline creatures might escape and cause great disasters. Sigh? With one step, Luo Feng traversed the void and returned inside the quiet room, entering the Star Tower. In one of the spatial layers of the Star Tower, Luo Feng released all parts of the body contained in the cloth bag. Boom tilde tilde tilde, first came the immensely large half-hoof claw, which accounted for about half of the body material this time. The hoof claw resembled a towering mountain, each sharp hook claw spanning hundreds of millions of kilometers. There was also a segment of a gigantic tail billions of kilometers long. These two parts were relatively intact, the rest were comprised of numerous scale armors, muscles, bones, and a large amount of blood, among others. The aura that struck his face made Luo Feng hold his breath. The physical body exhibits a 24 forms life form, this primordial bloodline creature, although at the second realm of Godly King strength, I estimate it to be among the top within that category, Luo Feng observed. Low intelligence, low realm, yet it can demonstrate such strength. This physical body must be close to that of an ultimate realm life form. Raw tilde 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 tilde. On the corpse, a vast shadowy figure coalesced, appearing as an endless majestic upright figure staring at Luo Feng, emitting an angry roar. Bloodline wool, Luo Feng understood. This bloodline wool was not the wool of the deceased primordial bloodline creature but rather the source of the primordial bloodline, the residual wool of a genuine primordial life. Even through generations of dilution, the wool could still transmit through the bloodline, possessing strong contamination capabilities. Walking the path of the primordial bloodline, one must first be able to resist such contamination. Despite it being fraught with flaws and calamities, if one surpasses all the flaws and withstands all calamities, it can also lead to tremendous achievements, like the Thunder Ancestor. The Thunder Ancestor and primogenitor Yang Feng had captured genuine primordial life and used its bloodline to propagate generations across the land of origin to dilute the bloodline. Brilliant. Luo Feng ignored the impact of this elusive will. Extending his hand to touch the scales, examining the dark yellow hook claws on the hoof, his consciousness penetrated, probing the essence within these matters. Under his observation, matter immediately magnified billions of times, allowing him to observe the tiniest structures swiftly. Every 10 particles fused with each other, inseparable, naturally forming one form. 240 particles divided into 24 groups, with a group of particles intertwining and revolving, naturally forming 24 spaces. These 24 spaces, akin to a formation, were tightly linked, continuously revolving. So beautiful. Luo Feng watched carefully. Though both special grade inheritances had detailed explanations, it was like seeing a three-dimensional schematic. When the materials of a 24 forms life form were right before his eyes, the shock was much stronger. Perfect, such a perfect life, each basic structure of life contains 24 spaces, tightly interconnected like a formation. Trying to destroy such a life structure is extremely difficult. Luo Feng merely looked and knew the terrifying nature of this life form. The form of the 10 directions world is only the entry level for a world life form. The 24 forms truly reflect some terrible aspects of a world life form. The path of world life form is daunting, yet the special grade inheritance of world life form in infinite space can only be exchanged up to the ultimate realm chapter. Additionally, Luo Feng could unleash the power of this inheritance because of the formless and intangible ability, but formless and intangible can only transform matter born within the land of origin, which does not nurture matter above the ultimate realm of God King. If one becomes an ultimate realm being, the path must eventually change. Of course, that is a matter for the future. First in the land of origin, own true, unrivaled strength. Every form of the 24 forms, the combination of the 6 branches is too perfect. Luo Feng immersed himself, and his research lasted over 10,000 days until suddenly a complete, single form naturally emerged in his mind. The difference between learning from books is shallow. By observing actual, tangible life materials, I have finally broken through the last bottleneck, comprehending the first form of the 24 forms life form. Luo Feng laughed heartily. The first form of the 24 forms is the hardest to comprehend. Because the difficulty of each form is equal, once the first form is comprehended, the second and third forms will get progressively easier. Comprehending the first form is akin to having comprehended half of this life form. I can feel it, just a little more effort in studying and researching, and within 10 eras, the great Tao of life origin could step into the second realm of Godly King, Luo Feng felt. Because of his comprehension of the first form, Luo Feng accumulated much experience in the integration of the 6 branches. It's no wonder the inheritance records state that the form of the 24 life forms is theoretically the highest level of the life form attainable at the first realm of the Godly King. But comprehending 3 or 4 forms naturally leads to a breakthrough. Luo Feng was in high spirits. From the first realm of the Godly King to the second realm of the Godly King is still very difficult. Many Godly Kings are stuck in the first realm, eventually choosing to cultivate the primordial bloodline. Even the proud Jiaoyin God King had never cultivated the primordial bloodline, yet she was invincible in the first realm of Godly King. She wanted to rely on her own strength to reach the second realm of Godly King, but making that breakthrough was immensely difficult. I had just become a Godly King, wielding the 6 major branches of life, and my cultivation went so smoothly because I mastered all 6 branches. Observing the complete great Tao of life origin and guided by 2 special grade inheritances, in over 100 eras, I had touched the threshold of the second realm of Godly King. Luo Feng was quite satisfied. Of course, he wouldn't be short-sighted, rushing to comprehend the breakthrough. Every step of the cultivation must be solid and dedicated, constantly honing one's comprehension. If one were to always seek shortcuts in the early stages, what about comprehending the complete great Tao in the future? Without any reference to the great Tao, how could one comprehend realms beyond the Godly King? By then, it would be too late for regrets. Compared to the great Tao of life origin, progress in the great Tao of destruction origin is considerably slower. Even now, I don't feel close to breaking through to the second realm of Godly King. Luo Feng silently reflected. Although he had taken 5-colored treasure medicine twice, which greatly hastened his progress on the path of destruction. Yet, the path of life excelled continually in observing the great Tao, always progressing more quickly. Now that I have the 24 forms life materials as a reference, my comprehension of the 24 forms will only be smoother. It seems that the second realm of Godly King will first be attained on the path of life. Luo Feng looked at the enormous corpse materials in front of him and, with one thought, began to collect some of the materials. A few scales, muscles, bones, blood, film from the tail, and the shortest hook claw. The materials Luo Feng collected were less than 1,000th of all the materials. Sigh? After setting aside the materials he had collected, Luo Feng then mentally communicated, "Morosa, hurry to the Star Tower." Ever since his master had said, "There will be good news soon," Morosa's heart had been restless, always waiting for his master's call. Go to the Star Tower? Morosa heard the mental communication and couldn't help but rejoice. It was not normal for the master to summon him to the Star Tower. Sigh? Morosa proficiently made his way to the quiet room in the city owner's mansion and saw the Star Tower. Without any obstacles, he entered the interior of the Star Tower. Master. Just as Morosa started speaking, he saw the towering primordial bloodline corpse materials nearby, especially the massive hooves, which dazzled his eyes. This is... Morosa's voice trembled with excitement. Swallow it. Swallow it. As the instinct of a sector beast, he intensely desired to devour the enormous corpse materials in front of him. This is roughly 1/10 of a primordial bloodline creature's body, Luo Feng said. In terms of physical strength, it far surpasses the normal second realm of Godly King, even possessing some traits of an ultimate realm life form. I can feel. Morosa looked and muttered, "If I swallow it, I will definitely break through. I will become much stronger. I've spent almost all the treasures I've accumulated since coming to the land of origin, even owing some favors, to get this part of the body." Luo Feng smiled at Morosa. "Morosa, I've given up a lot for you." Luo Feng was joking. His significant investment was primarily for practicing his own 24 forms. But in essence, 10% of this primordial bloodline creature's body. Luo Feng only took some scraps, he mainly gave the rest to Morosa. Yeah, thank you master, you are so good to me." Morosa looked greedily at the hot materials, he could hardly restrain himself. Luo Feng asked, "Are you sure you can reach the second realm of Godly King this time?" "I definitely can. I can feel that this part of the body material will help me far more than the bodies of 10 second realm Godly Kings." Morosa was very sure. In the stage of the second realm of Godly King, I guess the accumulation will be quite deep. Good, after you break through, I want to see what a sector beast of the second realm of Godly King can do, Luo Feng said, waving his hand. "Go to your own layer of space and slowly absorb and assimilate." Swoosh! The plethora of body materials, along with Morosa, was transferred to Morosa's designated layer of space. "I'm getting closer and closer to the ultimate realm." Morosa looked at the massive body materials in front of him and immediately opened his huge mouth. First, countless blood flew into his mouth. Although the bloodline well was roaring, Morosa didn't care. He wasn't merging with the bloodline but was using the realm inside his body to devour and thoroughly digest. Just by a surge of massive blood into his internal realm, Morosa felt the realm as if greatly nourished, the growth rate rapidly accelerating. This episode is end here.